The ship found drifting with no crew. The Atlantic Ocean is a vast, indifferent desert of water. On December 4th, 1872, the crew of the Dei Gratia moved through a heavy gray mist, the world reduced to the sound of the hull cutting through the swells. High on the deck, a figure adjusted a brass telescope, spotting a smudge of white sail on the horizon that moved with a strange, unnatural rhythm. Captain Morehouse watched the approaching vessel for hours. It was the Mary Celeste, a brigantine he knew well, but she was behaving like a wounded bird. Her sails were set haphazardly, some torn and flapping in the wind, and she yawed back and forth across the waves as if no hand were at her wheel to guide her through the deep. There were no signals of distress, no smoke, and no cries for help. Morehouse lowered a small boat into the water, and together with his mate, DeVoe, they rowed toward the silent hull. The only sound was the rhythmic creak of timber and the hollow slap of waves against the Mary Celeste's side, a lonely heartbeat in the middle of the sea. DeVoe was the first to climb the side and drop onto the deck. He stood for a moment, waiting for a challenge or a greeting, but the ship was a ghost. The wheel spun freely with the motion of the sea, its brass fittings dull under the salt spray. The binnacle, though moved from its place, still held the compass, pointing steadily toward a destination the crew would never reach. Morehouse followed him below, his boots echoing on the stairs. He entered the captain's cabin, expecting to find the remains of a struggle or the chaos of a storm. Instead, he found a scene of meticulous, unsettling order. The air was stale and cold, but the furniture was upright, and the captain's logbook lay open on the desk, its last entry written 10 days prior. In the living quarters, DeVoe found signs of a life that had simply stopped. Trunks were packed with clothing, and personal belongings were tucked away as if for a routine voyage. A child's toy lay undisturbed on the floor, and a sewing machine stood in the corner, a half-finished garment still resting beneath the needle, waiting for a hand that had vanished. The search moved to the cargo hold. Morehouse descended into the dark, damp belly of the ship, lantern in hand. He found 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol stacked neatly. While 9 were found to be empty, the rest were untouched. There was no sign of fire, no leakage of fumes, and no indication that the cargo had been the cause of a panicked flight. Returning to the deck, DeVoe examined the ship's rail. The single lifeboat that the Mary Celeste carried was gone, suggesting an orderly evacuation rather than a sudden catastrophe. Yet the conditions were perfect for sailing. The ship was dry and seaworthy, with enough food and water to last for 6 months. Why would a seasoned crew abandon such a safe haven? No bloodstains marked the wood, and no weapons were found drawn. There was no evidence of piracy, nor the ravages of a tempest. 10 souls, the captain, his wife, their young daughter, and 7 crewmen, had simply stepped off the deck and into the mystery of the Atlantic, leaving behind a ship that refused to sink. As the Dei Gratia began the slow process of towing the silent vessel toward the port of Gibraltar, Morehouse looked back at the empty deck. The mystery of the Mary Celeste would remain locked in the depths of the salt water, a reminder that the sea preserves its secrets long after the people who sailed it have been forgotten.